Welcome to the Family Office, planning for the people who matter most.
All right, so let's do this. Let's switch gears because we've talked about the number one topic and our opinion. Now, considering the fact that we're not journalists and did deep levels of investigation, that's not really our role. We're here to talk about what's important to most people that would watch a channel like this, who's concerned about their health, who's concerned about their wealth, and who really want to get differing perspectives about current events and not just have one type of point of view shoved down their throat. We want people to be critical. So I want to do some rapid fire with you, man. And then, you can feel free to ask me questions.
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it, man. So my first question to you is regarding the Epstein files. Do you think in 2026 that they will release the Epstein files in such a way where the people feel that it's that the government's being transparent and that people will be held accountable for their actions? Go.
No, unfortunately, this is never going to go away. It's always going to be dirty. It's always going to be a rough spot. It's going to be just like O.J. Simpson. There's always going to be those people who are mad about it and people that are happy about it, and vice versa. You're never going to reach that point where it just goes, it's cool. Never. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It just will not happen. I don't think it will. Len, what do you think about AI? Is there going to be an AI level out? And what I mean by that is that are we going to start looking at AI this year and go, are we going to start going, okay, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable? Because, like, for example, you can't replace an artist's song for copyright rights, but yet you can have AI write you a book. So are we going to have some level out in AI this year?
No. I don't believe so, because I think greed is going to be at the forefront, and the idea of the wild, wild west, until somebody ends up getting hurt or killed, nothing's going to happen. The only time I think something would happen is if some AI voice impersonated somebody's mom or kid or something like that, and somebody ended up getting murdered and it became a high profile case, and it happened too many times for it to happen. But until then, I don't believe so. I believe that the US is in an arms race with China to become the world's most dominant leader in AI. And the only thing that legislation would do is to slow down that progress. And from the perspective of the technological oligarchs, slowing down the race to AI means that we would end up losing to China, because China could take the technology and use it to hurt us. And so because of that reality, I think they're going to continue full speed ahead. So nope, I don't think so at all.
Interesting.
So question for you. Do you think voters in 2026 will punish the people in power right now, considering all of the challenges that are happening economically and all of the shenanigans that have happened with this current administration?
I think that if the gauntlet doesn't get laid down on the fleecing that's happening and the abuse, the open, blatant abuse and the weirdness, you're gonna have something crazy happen. Something's gonna happen, because I just think you're at a point right now where people are so fed up. Because again, look, people can tolerate the bullshit if they've got money in their bank accounts, but the fact that they can't do that, they're gonna be irate. And the fact that a lot of these problems come from people taking their tax money or their money and spending it on God knows what crazy shit. Yeah, I think that there's going to be, the gauntlet is going to be laid down next year, and a lot of heads are going to roll. I think so. I really, really do think so. And I think it's not because our politicians are all of a sudden, or the people that are in charge of punishing those people, all of a sudden are going to wake up and have this great, virtue of, oh, yay, ding, right? Like the harp's going to get played or something. It's going to be because the exposure is happening at the grassroots level, where everyday people are going out and going, bro, what the heck? What are they going to do? Kill everybody? Look, you can't assassinate everybody. So,
facts.
I don't think so. Do you think that the year is going to be 2026? Do you think that it's going to be a smooth year, a rough year? And do you think that there might be some bloodshed possibly in American soil next year?
And when you say bloodshed, are you talking about through like violent, like massive protests, or
yes,
what kind of bloodshed?
Yeah, like that.
Okay.
Like because let's say for example, this all does come out, right? And Tim Walz did knew about this, but nothing happens. Do you think that as a result, or let's say, something crazy does happen, and there is another mass shooting or another political figure gets something to that effect, could that possibly happen where we're at right now?
I think it's definitely a distinct possibility. If you were to ask me to bet money on if it were to happen, I would say no, because I agree with you that the cover up is so pervasive that it's almost like if we question whether something is real or not, it gives us something to talk about. It gives us something to bicker about. It gives us something to complain about, but we really, really don't know. And so they're not knowing still means that there's a possibility that our biggest fears are not actually realized. And so because of that, I think the government is going to continue covering up everything. So from the Epstein files to the Kirk assassination to the fraud and abuse that's happening on the highest levels. I think that Newsom being found for fraud and Waltz being found for fraud, I don't think that's really a big deal from the standpoint of, okay, we kind of know that politicians do commit financial fraud. But if you start to see pedophilia and people that we've trusted get exposed, then I think that would happen. But I don't think it's ever going to come out. So the short answer to your question is it's a possibility that could happen, but I'm going to say nope, it's not going to, because of all the cover-ups that will continue happening. So, question for you. Do you think that the United States is going to go to war against Venezuela?
I don't think there's going to be a war, but I think there's going to be a conflict. Yeah, I just think that there's too much invested in it, and I've researched a little bit about the relationship, obviously, with Venezuela and going back and how, look, Venezuela was the wealthiest South American country in the world. Obviously the world, right? It's just such poor choice of words, but it obviously was the wealthiest country at one point. And what happened was Hugo Chavez comes in, and he comes into power at a time where, he looks good because oil prices rose. And look, Venezuela discovered they had oil. They discovered it was great. All of a sudden they use that to advantage. Hugo Chavez uses that to his advantage. Oil prices boom under his leadership. A new industry emerges. He spreads the wealth like any true socialist does. He sees the writing on the wall. Economic shifts. What was good, what goes up must come down. And then all of a sudden, he gives it over to Nicolas Maduro, and oil prices tank. And the big facade that Hugo Chavez was blew up, unfortunately, underneath Maduro. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is exactly what happens in California. Newsom leaves, and the California dream, the liberal dream that was Gavin Newsom, implodes as soon as he leaves under the next leader. And that, whether it's a Democratic leader or not, I would not want to be the next person to be the governor of California after Governor Newsom. There's just absolutely no way. I mean, like if you're coming in and being governor of Texas or Florida after Abbott or DeSantis, you're like, whoo, baby. We can only go up from here. I mean, shoot, dude, this thing's already cranking, dude. All you got to do is just leave everything alone, right? Tighten up some procedural overseeing here a little bit here and there. Cut a little bit more government. Free up a little bit more tax revenue to the streets and local businesses. Game on. That's all there is to it. Make sure things stay safe. So, yeah, I think that that's the direction we're headed in for that. I don't see any other way possible at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
We'll see for that. Do you think that you're going to see a lot of consolidation continuing to happen. Obviously, with Netflix trying to acquire. Do you think that in 2026 you're going to start to see continue to see government consolidation, private consolidation, trimming of the fats and the belts, and austerity in almost every single way? Do you think that's going to continue or even get even crazier in 2026?
I think that more companies will continue to consolidate, because I think that when you had all of these years of zero or very low interest rates, that chicken is coming home to roost. And as these interest rates start to reforecast the debt burden on those companies, that they're going to fall short of their financial obligations. And because of that, the only way they're going to really be able to get out of their financial situation is to find another company to consolidate. And I think that's when the Metas of the world, the Teslas of the world, the large, well-run companies see other companies being offered at pennies on the dollar, and they can either do one of two things. They can purchase them to consolidate or purchase them to eliminate their competition. And so I believe that more consolidation is going to take place just because of the financial burdens that are happening because of the shift in finances. So speaking of finances, do you think that everyday Americans will actually feel better in 2026 because the certain policies that are in place right now is going to have a lagging effect? Or do you think that a year from now, at the end of this year, when we come back and reflect going into 2027, that Americans financially will be worse off?
So I think that there's a couple things going on here with that. And obviously, if we do have a conflict with Venezuela, which I do believe we will have, it's going to be over oil, because Venezuela does have that dirty crude oil that no one else wants to refine, but U.S. can refine it. Mm-hmm. And I think that geopolitically, it makes sense for us to have Venezuela back in I think there's a lot of good cooperative that could be done between America and Venezuela. I'm for it. I just think Maduro needs to leave. And they need to look. He's been democratically unelected a couple times, and the guy won't leave. So, for those who like socialism and communism, that's what that looks like in the beginning stages of it. Just so you know, that's what that looks like. Yeah, I definitely think that's going to happen for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. There's just no doubt about it. No doubt about it for me. I definitely think that we're headed in that direction, and I think it's a good thing. Actually, I think it's actually really is a good thing, Len. I do. What about will we see another high-profile assassination?
That's so funny. I was going to ask you a very similar question, which I'll ask.
And you might be thinking what I'm thinking here. But go ahead. Okay,
so I believe that there will be another high-profile assassination because the echo chambers are getting louder and louder, and the divergence of trust. And between people and government is getting wider and wider. And I think that when you have an erosion of trust, when you have the increase of different social media channels where people who are like-minded can just go down different rabbit holes and just, because the news has been very notorious about presenting their point of view only. And again, you can find stories to substantiate what it is that you're trying to claim. But true journalism should be about balance. And I think that because the way in which we report information gets more views because you feed red meat to your base, that it just gets people more and more outraged to the fact that they're going to say, you know what, I need to take matters in my own hands. So I definitely believe there will be definitely attempts of high profile figures, but I think unfortunately, there's probably going to be one or two that end up dying. I hate to say that, but I believe it.
I think that it's going to I think that it will happen under certain circumstances, and I think that it won't happen under other circumstances. And here's what I mean by that. It will happen if I'm wrong, and it won't happen if I'm right, and that's what I'm thinking. And if I'm right, and what I'm thinking is that it's going to probably be rough for Q1 and Q2, right? Like you were saying, is it things going to get rougher? Is there a trickle-down effect? Is there a lag effect? There's always lag effects. And I don't think you're going to see an assassination if by Q3, Q4 of next year, I say Q3. I say by Q3 of next year is when we're going to start to see the daylight of the policy effect change that Trump's doing behind the scenes, whether the stuff we see and we don't see. And if that happens, then I don't think you're going to see any type of violence or assassination stuff. But I think is that it becomes summertime. If stuff doesn't start to trend in the right direction, you're going to start to see those voices come up, and then that's when that's when you could potentially see an assassination. So
yeah,
if it doesn't get better by summertime,
right, and I'm wrong, brother. I really, really do. Because here's the thing, man. I don't care if I disagree with 100% of your views. I don't wish ill upon your health. I don't wish you to die.
Nobody wants to see that. And that's always the American principle. The American foundational principle is we can have discourse and we can disagree, and we're happy about that, right? We're happy about that. And I never forget a story. And I was in high school, my power mechanics teacher, old school guy, probably was born in God knows when, before World War II. And he goes, it used to be back in the day, if you had beef with a guy, you go out behind the parking lot, whoever won is won, and then the next day you'd see that guy, or afterwards say, hey, you know what, you kicked my ass, good job, and then both you guys would go and have a beer together. And that was it. Nowadays, you can't even disagree with somebody, and they're up in your grill about it. So I definitely, it's interesting that we're thinking that way, but I have one last question for you, Len.
Okay. I wanted to ask you real quick. I wanted to ask you, because it's really along the same lines. Do you think Tyler Robinson is going to be convicted for the assassination of Charlie Kirk? And it's a two-part question. Do you think there are other nefarious actors that are involved? And if so, will they be brought to justice? What do you think about that whole situation? Why
do you have to ask this question? Because it's such a loaded question. I don't want to answer this. I don't want to say all the things that I want to say, because I think it's rotten from the top to the bottom. I think everyone knows what happened. I don't want to say everybody, but we all know what happened. I want to believe the narrative. But I just can't believe that he wasn't a mark. And this has been planned for years. I'm sorry, but I know that it's just weird.
Okay, I'll let it stand right there. I won't push.
I just think it's very strange. It's very weird. It's too scripted. There's not enough things that make sense to me. And I think he's going to get. I mean, think about it this way: how weird is the trial for the United Health CEO murder suspect? What's his name? Luigi. It's weird.
Yeah, Maggione.
That one's weird too. It's the same weird kind of feel, isn't it? Doesn't it kind of just feel weirdly?
Not to me, man, because I mean, there were eyewitnesses of the guy, and I think it's a little bit more of a tight case. While there are other extenuating circumstances, he had a manifesto of the ills of healthcare and stuff like that. So in my mind, the only similarity is that, I think he actually did it. I don't believe that Tyler Robinson was the main actor. I think Mangione was a sole actor, and I think he planned it because he felt personally some type of ill towards healthcare, and he wanted to do something about it. And I think there's other stuff, man, too many other unexplained circumstances around the whole Charlie Kirk assassination. And I just hope that whatever the truth is, that we will as a country come to learn the truth, because again, it's a common theme. It's just that whole idea that people in power can take action without any type of accountability, and we get fed up with that over time. So I just hope that we figure out what happened. So what's your last question?
My last question, I think we're starting to see that, and that goes back to it. My last question is do you think we will see a roundtable discussion between Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly, and Tucker Carlson in 2026?
I do. I absolutely do. And I would hope that.
And then I have a follow-up question to that.
Okay. So I do. I believe that, because they all are, if you think about it, they all have something interesting in common. They were once a part of one platform and let go from it, and then establish their own personal platform and exponentially exploded from that. And I think because their voice is now more unfiltered and it's a lot more widely distributed, I think them coming together is not only a good financial move, but I think it's also a good politically strategic move. And I think what they'll do is they will label this under some type of conservative movement or conservative manifesto to create change from a grassroots perspective. I think they will come together and coalesce under that.
Who would be somebody that's my follow-up question is that who would be a good fourth person to go with them, or who do you think they would rally their support around or promote?
I think the fourth person they would want to have with them, considering only because of what happened in September, would be Erica Kirk. And here's why. Not because of who she is, but because of the people that she represents. She represents the young Gen Z, left behind, Christian, conservative movement of millions and millions of people, who creates a large voting bloc for the next 2028 candidate. So I think as opposed to having a democratically led president, I think they'll get together, bring her to get involved so they can all rally the vote.
Does Erica Kirk run for president in 2028?
Absolutely not.
What if she does?
No, bro, she has no shot. Her credibility is already on shaky ground as it is, man. Like, even people from TPUSA are starting to look side eyes and say, I feel for her and her loss, but something just isn't right. And something in most of our gut is telling us there's more there than meets the eye. I don't know what it is yet, but something's not right. And because of that, I don't think she has a shot.
I don't think so either. Well, Len, it's been an exciting year.
Yes, it has. I can't wait
to see what happens. We are going to hold each other accountable to what happened in our predictions for 2025 and what happens. Of course, the big one is still out there, whether or not Trump's presidency is a resounding success or a resounding failure. I just can't wait to see you wear I Heart Trump shirt or something like that. Whatever merch you're going to wear. Like Trump, you're going to wear the headline, Trump raises GDP by 100% in 2027, and you're going to go, dang it, Chris.
Hey,
what am I going to do?
The good thing is at least we have 3 more years.
The tariff save United States economic policy. Hey, you're going to wear a shirt that says Trump 2028. I'm gonna figure out what you're gonna wear. You can't, because you have nobody.
Crap. No. I'm talking about how you fell for the okie doke with regard to your president's success. I'm just saying, but that remains to be seen. I hope he's either a resounding success or an absolute failure. I don't want there to be anything in between.
And I agree. I don't want there to be anything
I would
between
prefer
either.
that he's a resounding success.
Well, to everyone out there,
the only thing is we can say is we will see.
We shall see. We shall see. Everybody had a Merry Christmas. Everybody have a Merry Christmas. If you haven't celebrated that yet, have a Happy New Year. Stay safe. And we'll see you next year. Thank you, Len. Have an amazing one. And we'll see how things shift. And now, that's being said, if you like the content, subscribe, comment. We love to hear from you. And again, at the end of the day, we want to have a great, clean dialogue. And then obviously at the end of the day, have a beer and be friends. And that's really what this is all about. You don't have to agree all the time, but have a conversation and have a dialogue and a discourse about it. That's really what it's about. So everybody have a great, Happy New Year again. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time, Len. Thank you.
Conversation has given you clarity on your next steps. Please share this episode with someone who's walking the same path. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss future episodes. And remember, planning ahead isn't just prudent, it's an act of care. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on the Family Office.